Right, nostalgia vlog time. Cold one, before I start. Had a lot of requests about my nostalgia vlog, recent ones. I've done a couple of them, and do more, and what have you. So here we go. A couple of tales about the mental, the North Wales Hospital, but obviously known locally as the Mental. Now then, to start with, I am, if you're regular sub to me and what have you, I'm born and bred Denbighite. And when I grew up as a kid, in a place called Love Lane Garage, which is in Love Lane, which is just over the hill from the Mental, back end, back end of Denbigh. Like I say, just over the hill from the Mental. And in them days, we were the only taxi service, shall I say. We were a garage, repairs and what have you. And we used to do the taxis and funeral and wedding limousines. And like I say, we were the only place in Denbigh where you could get a taxi. We used to get a lot of work from the Mental. Maybe 10, could be up to 10, 12, 15, taxi runs from the Mental, or from somewhere in Denbigh, to the Mental. We used to get people used to arrive in Rhyl railway station, and they want to go to the Mental, so we had to go to the Rhyl railway station, then run them into Denbigh up to the Mental. We used to get a lot of work from the Mental. People, wanting a taxi from the Mental to what have you. And another thing we used to do is the wages run. We used to pick up, it would have been someone, obviously in the wages office, to go and collect the wages for the Mental. And they used to call it Wells Fargo. Now then, Wells Fargo, as far as I can remember, was like a stagecoach, the old westerns, the old cowboys, and whether it was something to do with money or something, I'm not too sure, but they used to guard it with guns and things like that. And that's what they used to call it. It was probably on a Friday afternoon, same time, every Friday afternoon. The phone in the office, in the garage, would ring, you'd pick it up, and all they'd say is two words, Wells Fargo. And you'd say, right, okay, and you put the phone down, you knew that it was the Mental. They wanted, to do the wages run, to go and collect the wages, and that's what they used to say. Just you'd answer it, and all you'd hear is Wells Fargo. So anyway, we used to go up, and when I was a kid, then if I used to do a lot of the in the taxis, if they had a job, from the Mental, I used to say, oh, can I come? And all I used to jump in the front seat, and I used to just for a ride out, And I've been a few times, and this one particular time, well, no, I'll talk about that at another particular time. I'll talk about it after this one. I'll keep talking about Wells Fargo. Yeah, so anyway, you'd answer the phone, Wells Fargo, yeah, okay, put the phone down. And then you'd go up, in the taxi, you'd go through the gates, down the drive, and you'd stop right at the front doors. There's a few steps going up, and the majority of the time, they'd be there waiting for you. Sometimes you may have to go in, just to say, the taxi's here, but 9 times out of 10, they would be standing there by the doors, and it'd be, an employee, from the Mental, from the wages office or wherever, they'd have a briefcase, and there'd be a policeman with them, a copper. They'd get in the back, and then we used to take them then to the Midland Bank they used to go to, top of Ale Street. And then they used to go in, and used to come out with the entire wages for the workforce in the Mental, in that briefcase. No, none of these security vans and armed guards and what have you. And you think, these days it's all electronic, it gets transferred and this and that. But in them days it was all cash. And in that briefcase was the wages for the whole staff of the Mental. And you think, what must have been in, 100 quid in them days was something like probably 10,000 or whatever. You know what I mean? It was a hell of a lot of money, and it was just I can't remember whether it was actually chained to his wrist or not, but it was just a briefcase and a copper, normal taxi, you know. And it's not rocket science, you know. It was the same time, same day. You know, you could listen, 2 and 2 make 5, and it wasn't, you know, it's not rocket science for someone that wanted to steal it. You know, you could, same time, it was the same routine, you know, but how much, you think how much money would, you know, in today's prices, you know, you're talking, what, hundreds of thousands, is it, something like that? Because, you know, the entire workforce in the mental, must be a few hundred working there. It was all cash. You know, in this briefcase, like I say, they just pick up the phone, Wells Fargo, and this other time I was saying I used to get. I've talked about it before. I used to jump in the taxi and have a run up to the mental, and I saw a patient, and he died. He tripped, and he stumbled or whatever, and he died. Like I say, I have talked about this before, but. Shut my eyes, I tell you what, I can see him now and I can see the event. Something that you never forget, something like that. Never forget it. Had this particular, someone, you know, phoned from the mental, oh, can you run us here or whatever. And it was my mother that took the call. And I says, oh, the usual, oh, can I come with you? You know, yeah, and I jumped in the front like, and down through the gates, down the drive, and you can park right outside the mental. It's just got a few steps, half a dozen steps or whatever. Going up to the front door, and I parked in, and it was not like Wells Fargo. They're obviously not waiting for you there. My mother got out, went up the steps, and went in. I was just sitting there like that, you know. The next minute, this patient walked out. I tell you what, I can see him now. You know, it's something that you never forget. He had blue striped pajamas on, slippers. He had like a dark brown dressing gown on. He had shaved head. And he stood on the very top step. And he was like that, and he just looked around like that, and then he looked down at me, and he was like that. Then he looked up again, then he went to walk down the steps, it's like concrete steps. And he just went, poof, he just stumbled, and bang! He just dropped like a sack of coal. Poof! Head first like that. He didn't even put his hands out. And I was like that, and he was just still, he just was not moving. I was like, I thought, you know, I was just looking at him like that, you know. And then, 10, 15 seconds, something like that, you know. And then someone came out, and someone was passing, and next minute there was a big crowd around him. Anyway, the mother came out with whoever wanted the taxi, and off we went. And then the next day, because we were always, you know, in touch with the mental, like they were always phoning up and this and that. And they phoned up and they said, that patient, he says, as soon as he landed on them steps, he was dead. He died instantly. And I was the only one that witnessed it. There was no one else about. And it happened right in front of me, about 10 feet in front of me. But like I say, bang. And it's something I'll never forget it. It's just something you never forget. Oh yeah, and talking about security and money. My very first job was in the quick save in Denbigh, in a place called BMS. It later changed to Motor World. Anyway, and I was the one that always used to go to the bank. I used to take the take-ins in every day. And on a Monday, I used to, take the take-ins in. But on a Monday, it was the biggest amount that I'd be paying in, because you got Friday, all day Friday, the take-ins. Of course, the end of Friday, the banks are shut. Saturday, banks are shut. And Sunday, we used to open for a few hours on a Sunday. So I used to take the money up to the bank, and that was the Midland Bank, the same bank as the Mental. On a Monday, like I say, every day, but the biggest amount was always on a Monday because of the weekend, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. And it was always just under 4,000 quid. And that was the late 70s. Probably 78, 76, 77, 78, something like that. And I was 16, 17, and I couldn't drive in them days. Well, when I was that age, like, I had a push bike, racer bike, and I had saddle bag on the back. And you know, when you think of it now, you know, 16-year-old kid on a push bike with £4,000 in the back of the saddlebag. You know, and I know he's just worry, think nothing of it. You know, I used to put my bike outside the Midland Bank, just open the saddlebag, get a little bag out, £4,000, and you're talking, like I say, 1977 or something like that. £4,000, you know, going back in them days, was a hell of a lot of money. You know, it's a lot of money these days, but you know, and that's another thing. It's not rocket science to work out the routine. You know, when I think back of it now, you know, 16, 17-year-old kid on a push bike with £4,000 in the saddlebag. Anyway, good times. But yeah, anyway, like I say, that mental incident, never forget it. So yeah, anyway, hope you've enjoyed these little anecdotes. The mental, always popular. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll more than likely see you in another one.